welcome to Mars Magazine, ArtAlienTV. Another report coming to you today from the UK, which is extremely hot at the moment. In fact, it's probably, I think it's the hottest day we've had since the mid-70s, 1976, I think. And my computer here is struggling a little bit and it's getting overheating a little bit, so do bear with me. So yeah, if you're not a member already, do come along to Mars Magazine. We post a lot of stuff up here, anything to do with Mars, Moon and Earth, anything bizarre or interesting to do with the planets and aliens, that kind of thing, ancient aliens. So do come along. You get a free app here. If you join up, you can get this free app for you can use it on your laptop or your mobile device. Loads of freeware on there as well, really cool. So that's ArtAlienTV app. So do come along. There's loads of cool stuff here. Lots of people have joined up recently and are posting funny stuff as well as more serious stuff. We like to have a bit of a laugh as well. There's this pretty cool image I dug up yesterday. Humans are among us. Yeah, really cool. But without further ado, let's crack on with it, because otherwise we'll be here all day. Now, this latest thing I've found, well, one of the latest things I've found is this. Here's the raw image. Now, this is from Sol 646, going right back to the sort of 2013, I think this image was taken. In fact, you should say down here. Oh, 2014, okay. There we are. So yeah, it's going back 4 years now. And we have this, what looks just like a pile of random, well, scattered rocks, as usual. But of course, when you look a bit more closely, often they turn out to be something else. Scientists and corporate people would try and tell you otherwise, of course. But they're not the ones doing the real research, so I tend to ignore them. They do try and bully my channel and other channels into backing down, but we're not backing down. We found far too many things for them to be a coincidence. And today, this is the main one. Here's that image I just showed you, raw clip. Actually, that's the whole image, actually. And we have here, when you zoom in, what looks like a dead person in a helmet. Now, I appreciate that looks a bit vague. Everything's this sandy colour because it's had a colour filter put on it. In fact, it's very easy to remove by using colour correction or one-step photo fix like that. Now, that's a bit harsh and it makes the shadows really dark, so I don't tend to use that, but that's one way of doing it. Or you can use fade correction. You should get this on the Photoshop as well if you have Photoshop. Fade correction is a bit more subtle if you have it on a low setting and it's not so dark, and that just gets rid of that orangey kind of colour, so you can actually see stuff a bit more clearly. Okay, here it is, right here, and it looks a bit fuzzy when you zoom in. The thing to do is to enlarge the images and add more pixels to the image. A lot more pixels, and it tends to smooth the image out and are easier to look at, because these are quite low res images. These images are really designed, I'll have a link to this main page here and this image, but these images are designed really, what they do is they take thousands, or well, on each day they probably take hundreds and hundreds of pictures. They're quite small, but they are designed to be stitched together into gigapans, okay? They're not designed to be looked at as an overall image. They're designed to be stitched together into large panoramic scenes that you can then look at, which I've done here. I've done one here. If you want a copy of this Gigapan that I've done, this is a high quality JPEG of the area. And I've stitched together loads of images here. And this is really cool. There is tons of stuff in here. A lot of it's quite small. A lot of it is sort of covered in dust and sand, as usual. But in this area here, there are all sorts of goodies, and there are things like skulls and animal skulls and bones, that kind of thing. Lots of pebbles, of course, as usual. And here we have it. So let's zoom out of the Gigapan. I'll show you where to look. I'll put this up on Mars Magazine, this Gigapan, and you can download it. I think it's around the 18 megabyte size. And there's loads of stuff in here. You will find everything. I mean, the thing to do is not rule anything out. If you do that, then you start to see things. We're told to rule things out by people that educate us, whether that's at school or the media or scientists or whatever. We're told, oh, there might be, they just found a lake on Mars. They've known about water underground there for many, many years. It's not a new story. It's largely propaganda that we get from NASA. So you've got to kind of read between the lines. Here it is, just here. This has been enlarged and enhanced. There he is, okay. So you can download this and have a look through yourself. You will find that and many other things, I absolutely promise you. I've found dozens of artifacts in this particular area. But we're not going to take all day with it now because we don't have time. Otherwise this video would go on for hours if I was to show you everything in that image. You can have a look yourself and make your own mind up. This is the main anomaly that I'm showing today, which is the soldier in the helmet. And you can actually see, if you zoom back a bit, it's better if you don't get too close. You can actually see the helmet comes along here. You've got it at the top of the helmet, and it comes down here. I think there was probably a cheek guard here that's kind of broken off. And the back of the helmet would have come down here probably a bit more, like the shadow does. It would have been the back plate would have come out. Now, how do I know this is a soldier in a helmet? Well, it's not the first one I've found. I found many helmets on Mars. I'll show you a few of those in a minute, but I won't go into great depth about them. You can check them out in my playlists, which I'll put a link to at the end of the video. There'll be a link to the Mars Helmets playlist. You can have a look through them. But I'll try and make this a little bit more clear. What I'll do is I'll draw some outlines here to give you a better idea of what we've got. And let's try and do that a bit more carefully. Right. It's very hot here and my mouse is struggling a little bit. And you've got the top of the helmet there. You've got this circular part here. You've got these parts coming out like this. Okay. The band, the headband here at the top of the helmet comes to there like that. The helmet comes right up. It's a bit vague here because these are pretty washed out images, and they are downgraded before they go on the NASA website. So image is lost. I mean, image detail is lost, and the shadows tend to be pretty poor. So you've got to add contrast like I've done here, and you've got to really concentrate on what you're looking at and take your time. Don't rush through. So we've got this circular part here as well, and you've got an eye socket here, you've got an eye socket here, you've got a nasal cavity here, that's kind of broken up, and we've got mouth detail which is all kind of contorted, like this, you see? You've got part of the jaw coming down, cheekbone here, okay? So if this was a skull, this would be blacked out, of course, but this isn't a skull, this is actually a mummified head. So there's actually some eye detail. If you look carefully, there's an eye just here. You can actually see an eye. I'll show you that in better detail in a minute. So there we have it. The helmet sort of comes around like that. The cheek guard would have come like that, and the back of the helmet probably would have come out like this, or something. That's kind of guesswork. I don't know. This may not be the same as the others I've found, but they're not modern helmets, as we would call them. They look more like the sort of Roman helmets. So this may be thousands of years old. You've got teeth detail in here as well. There are broken teeth and parts here, which you can see if you look carefully. So it's all there, and this is all kind of mangled and broken away here. Let's take all that off of there now. So this gives you an idea of what I'm trying to get across here. You can see that band, even in the raw image here, you can see the band at the top. It comes up like that, actually. And there's the line where it joins. There's the front of the band and the forehead. There's some interesting things here. Don't know what those are, they're like nodules or something. Now, is it possible this helmet would have had a crest on it? It is possible. It's not completely round at the top. It goes up to a point here, like that. You can see that, all right? Now, let me show you a different helmet that I found not very far from here. Let's go to here and here. This is a similar shape. It has a similar point to it here. It has a weird sort of front to it. Now, I initially thought this was the front here, but it's not. This is the back plate. There's a head still in it, like the one I've just showed you. You've got a mouth here and a small chin. There's actually someone still in this helmet. And the head is kind of desiccated and mummified, like a lot of them are on Mars. But you've got that similar point here with nodules as well. So there may be a crest attached to this at one point with feathers or hair or something, don't know. Guesswork, really. Let me play that through a little bit because it's very similar to this one. And you've got what seems to be a person's face sticking out and chin here. And this is a visor. So this, there may be the slot here at the front to look out. I imagine the person's eye would be in this area and they could look through it. So that's not a recent find. This goes back years. In fact, this goes back to 2015. I'm just comparing it to a couple of helmets here that it may or may not look like. A bit like that. Not quite the same, but it's got the back plate, okay? Like this. It's not the same as that, of course, but it's just a comparison. So I'm not saying this is Roman or anything or Greek. I'm just making comparisons in actual shapes. The actual morphology of the head is very important, obviously. If you have an elongated skull, which comes up much higher, not like a human skull, you would need a higher helmet to actually protect it. So this isn't a human skull. This is completely, the human skull would come to here, be much lower, and wouldn't go right up. So there's other skulls here. This is a really clear one here, Mars Battle Helmet, if you want to check that out. There's some others here. Some of them have still got heads in them. There's a compilation, Mars Weaponology, showing that one. There's a warrior skull in helmet here. Warrior Knight skull in helmet. You can check that out. Some of them are quite old, some of these videos, and not as good as recent ones, but some of them are perfectly good, even though they're years old. Really clear, some of this stuff. So the reason I'm fairly sure what I'm looking at here is because I've found lots of other similar things. And they're starting to match up, and I'm getting enough data here to work out that. Let's go to the raw image there. There we are. That's the raw image from the Gigapan. Very blue, but the colours aren't really a lot to go by. I mean, we don't really know what colours they were, or their armour was. I mean, this was a cool image. I was looking through helmet images and found that this is similar. Although more of a modern helmet. It's kind of a Greco-Roman style helmet. Now a lot of the statues I found kind of look a bit Greco-Roman as well. Some of them look more Egyptian, some of them look kind of Mayan. So there's all sorts of weird culture stuff going on here on Mars. Now of course they may have had a war. A lot of people have said there was a nuclear war on Mars. I think there probably was, judging by all the debris. There's lots and lots of crazy things lying around, and there's skulls, there's helmets, there's statues, there's bones, and there are building foundations all over the place. There's building blocks smashed up all over the place. You can see perfectly cut stone blocks everywhere. So there we are. That was it really for this one. I could go on and on about it, but I'll let you make your own mind up. You can clearly see the shape of the helmet there, and it's eroded and broken here probably, but this may have come out more like to there, and obviously it comes up. I'm trying to get the shape, and like that other one, it has a point to it, okay? And the headband at the front comes to there. We got the circular part here. You've got to, with these images, you've really got to look carefully and slowly, and if you see circles and stuff, it usually is a bit of a giveaway. But there are loads and loads of skulls. I mean, this is not by any means the only one. This is one of about 100 now, statues and skulls. A lot of animal skulls, a lot of humanoid skulls, a lot of particularly ape skulls that I found recently. This is a humanoid by the looks of it, wearing a helmet. Why would a humanoid wear a helmet? It's probably a soldier. And similar to the recent video I did, which is I haven't got up here, but if you look at one of my recent videos, that the Mars astronaut, There's another one in a what looks like a space helmet. So you may have already seen that. I'll put a link to that anyway from here at the end of the video, so you can check that out. So there are loads of these. I mean, there's 6 videos in here, but there will be 7 or 8 in there shortly because I haven't updated it. So there's some good examples of helmets here on Mars, and some of them look kind of Roman, some of them look kind of Greek. A lot of the statues seem to be wearing hats or helmets. There's loads and loads of crazy things. I'll show you a few. In the same area, there is actually this thing. I've got a meme of that somewhere. Let me find the meme. Got loads of crazy things here, and some of them are. There's that one that I've just showed you, and it shows it in the greater context here. You've got another thing which looks like a carved head with a kind of cat-looking nose and mouth and eye there. A bit vague that, but there are other statues in the area, so you've got to really think twice about a lot of these. This is not Sol 642. That number is wrong. I made a mistake there. It's 646, Sol 646. So that is a mistake. But there will be a link to these anyway, so you can go straight to it and have a look. Loads and loads of stuff in here. I highly recommend this Sol. It's one of the best. I've not looked at it before until recently, and I've found dozens of things already. It's absolutely rammed with crazy things like this. And I will be doing more videos coming soon about this area, because there's just so much. I couldn't possibly fit it in one video. So, I mean, there's something next to this here, an object here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's something weird in the ground. A lot of these things you can't really work out what they are, but they do look intelligent because they have sharp points to them and circles, and some of them may be carved artifacts, some of them may be bits of armor, some of them may be parts of statues as well. I mean, all of the above. Do not rule anything out when it comes to Mars, because basically we're still just touching the tip of the iceberg where it comes to research. I've done a lot, but a lot of other people out there are helping me, and there are a lot of other people doing it as well, which is great. And a lot of people come along to Mars Magazine and give me tips for images as well. So there's plenty of other people on this page doing stuff. There's another recent one I found which looks like a head with the glasses on. Very strange. Some of these things are really odd, and they do look like got goggles and things, some of them. Now, the problem is with a lot of the images, they're too poor to work out whether these are carved or actual heads or whatever they are. So it's a bit of guesswork involved here, but when you found as many things as I have, you start to get an eye for it, and you can work out whether what you're seeing is actually a skull, a bit like this one. Fossilized, possibly fossilized skull. Don't even know if it's fossilized. It may just be a skull. It may not be that old. Looks a bit like a gorilla, but also looks a bit like a baboon. I couldn't work out which. It's kind of a cross between the two. It's got quite a long snout here. You can see just about make out some teeth detail here, but this is a poor quality image, and this thing may be quite heavily damaged and quite old. There's an eye here with a brow ridge coming round. This is some kind of ape, and there are lots of apes in the area which I found. There's this one which you may have seen already, which I put in a video. It looks a bit like Bigfoot. Absolutely insane. There's all sorts, and there's another helmet here. Now this is really vague, but this is the same sort. This is 646, not 642. That's the wrong number again. I'm gonna have to redo some of these and change the numbers on them. But this is really vague, but if you darken it right up, you can see that this looks like a helmet with a nose piece there and something going on here. Really odd. And it may not be, maybe something else, but it seems to have something sticking up and kind of like a crest at the back here. Now, whether this is actually a helmet or not, I don't know, but it looked like one to me. That's the raw clip. It's very vague. It looks like it's been smudged out, as a lot of these images do. There's loads of crazy things here, and this area is absolutely rammed full of crazy things. This is the same area, 646. This is another vague, blurred out part of the image. So there's loads of these things. They're everywhere. The area is littered. On some soul, I would say almost every large soul, I mean, when I say a large soul, I mean a group of photos taken on one day. When you go on the main page, hang on a minute, where is the main page? Yeah, here it is. Now, some of these have only got, say, 18 images in, but some of them have over 100. They're the ones to go for, or even 200, because you'll find lots more images to look at, and the larger the set of images, the more likely you are to find something like a skull or helmet or a building block or something like that. The smaller sets of images don't tend to have much in them, but if you go for the larger sets like this one here, 1905, there's probably something in there. You go down 1872, there's a lot of images there. You probably find at least one or two artifacts. But you've got to take your time and sift through the images carefully and look slowly and methodically through the images. And I promise you, you will find something, either a skull, a statue, a bone, a building block that's broken, or part of something that's broken, maybe a mechanical object if you're lucky. Haven't found many, but they are there. There are all sorts of things in the area. It's like a big junkyard with smashed up pieces everywhere. So go for the larger sets of images and look through those, and I promise you, you will find something. So that was about it for this one. There are helmets on Mars, and some of them seem to have mummified or skull-like heads still inside them, like this. And I'm not joking. They are all over the place. They're not in every set of images, but every third set, I would say, you would find something similar like this. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will do an update on all the other things I found in this area. Come along to Mars magazine page. I will put the Gigapan link in the at the top of the page here, and you can download it if you want to have a close look yourself. It's not huge, it's about 18 megabytes, so it won't absolutely destroy your device, as long as you've got a bit of space on it. So there we are. Let's go back to that very quickly. It's a guy in a helmet. What else can I say? It's not the only one. As a skull, it's one of skull or statues. I've found about 100 now. So there's too many of these for it to be a coincidence, and you've really got to start taking it a little bit more seriously, especially some of you trolls out there who seem to think that everything's just a rock, just because it's slightly rock coloured. Yeah, okay. So there we have it. Thanks for watching. I will see you soon.